Hey Corey reporters, welcome back to my channel. Sorry I have to pre-record this video and that it's super late, but I've got a lot going on right now. I'm supposed to leave France soon to go back to Canada for a bit to adjust the visa stuff if the certain thing that I've filed does not go through by early April, and of course the weather is just getting me down as well, so I'm flustered, okay? But let's jump into it. So on the last week's episode of Teen Mom Family Reunion, Farrah finally walks in and Gary's actually the only person who goes to hug her hello. Interestingly enough, she stands between him and Amber, like just to kind of like, you know, find a place within the group, who she actually had that blow up fight with like the last time that they saw each other. Amber was upset about the stuff that Farrah said about her then boyfriend Matt Bayer. So Corey and Ashley then explain why they don't like Farrah, which I needed, right? Because I was not up to date about their dramas. And it turned out that Farrah claimed that like pretty much everybody was having babies on purpose to take her place on Teen Mom OG or to just appear on Teen Mom in general. She really, you know, thinks she's a lot more important than she is in people's lives. So Devon actually then introduces himself to Farrah with his proper name, Devoyne. And then Farrah goes, oh, okay, nice to meet you, Devon. And then he just looks like, yeah, I'm used to this, you know, and I felt so sad for him. But listen, again, Devoyne just does not roll off the tongue, you know, the way that Devon does. So it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. Corey then decides to confront Farrah about her comments in front of everybody, and she looked like a deer in headlights and called him ghetto in his approach to her, which, wow, to me was a racist dog whistle, right? And then, of course, we're all supposed to play dumb and like, you know, debate whether or not she meant it in a racist way when she clearly did. You know, there's a really good Toni Morrison quote about racism and how it's supposed to just like distract people all the time, and it's so frustrating how true that is. So Cheyenne then calls Farrah out for her racism there, and I have to say I did not like Cheyenne trying to fight Corey's battles for him, right? Because Corey, first of all, this is between Corey and Farrah. Corey's a grown-ass man, he can handle himself, and second of all, Corey played you like a fiddle. Third of all, he's not your man, he's not your brother, he's just your baby daddy. Like, let him handle himself. And then third of all, why does she need to like throw all this furniture around and scream and stuff like that? It reminded me of like Jade and all of them looking for a moment in those first two episodes of the show. Like, I really don't like all of this contrived fighting that they've been doing on the show. Like, to me, Cheyenne had herself looking really stupid in that moment, which was so unfortunate because Farrah is the one who should be looking stupid for, you know, being outright racist against Corey and thinking nobody would clock it. So, you know, I do have to say as well, I can't believe how many people Farrah has talked crap about over the years. It's been literally everyone. When everyone aired out their grievances, I was like, holy crap, this is a lot more than I even remember. Farrah truly has a lot of nerve. She's got nerves of steel for showing back up in the Teen Mom universe after doing all of that against literally everybody. Like, what did she expect the reception to be like, you know, towards her? So, you know, as Cheyenne is screaming and running around and whatnot, Farrah calls everybody like super fans and tells them to ride somebody else's coattails, which is like, Farrah, you got fired how many years ago? The show's been going on just fine with, well, not just fine actually, the ratings are in the gutter, but the show's been going on without you. So I don't know that they're riding your coattails. You're not the inspiration for the show. You're not the first girl cast for the show, right? So I don't know what you mean by riding your coattails. You know, it is interesting as well how Amber was the one that was calming Farrah down as, you know, Cheyenne and other people were going hysterical in the background. Like, to me, this show has truly been Amber's redemption story. Like, she seems to genuinely be here to learn and grow versus the other people who kind of are here just looking for a moment, trying to be as dramatic as possible. You know, like Cheyenne showed that this episode. I saw that in Jade. I saw that in Brianna. I saw that in Ashley. So, you know, I'm really liking Amber in this series, which leads me to a quick sidebar. You know, the most annoying thing whenever I'm recapping OG or Teen Mom 2 or whatever is people being like, oh, you hate this person, blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, I just talk about them being stupid when they're being stupid, and I'll say they're being great or smart when they're being great or smart. The problem is that they're rarely making good decisions. But when someone makes good decisions, obviously I'm going to talk about the good decisions that they make. So like, I have no problem, you know, to Amber's like fans or whatever who go, oh, you hate Amber. No, Amber's just a moron 99% of the time. She's abusive 99% of the time, but here she is making a, you know, a concerted effort to be a better person. So kudos to her. It's really not, you know, that hard for me to hype people up when they deserve it. So moving along, Cheyenne and Corey and Zach then sit down and talk about parenting, and it was a nice conversation for the three of them to have. You know, at some point they talk about like how they were never in love. They never said I love you, and that made like co-parenting a bit easier. And I'm just like, that'd be sad for me to like go risk my health and stuff, carry someone's bloodlines, and you know what I mean, all of that for someone who was never even in love with me and I was never in love with them. I couldn't do it, you know what I mean? Like, I could not do it. So that to me was kind of like sad on one hand. Like, you know, it's a different story if you're like, I don't know, like going through surrogacy or whatever, egg donation, sperm donation, whatever. But like when you're like one night standing it like this, I kind of found it a little bit sad, but I do agree that co-parenting for them was easier because they were older and there were no real crazy, like deep emotions involved, you know, where like they would be deeply jealous of each other moving on because they were never together in the first place. So after that, Macy FaceTimes Caitlyn to fill her in on what was going on. And I found it odd how Caitlyn immediately knew that Farrah was there. Like Macy basically just said, oh my God, you'll never believe what happened. Caitlyn goes, oh, Farrah was there? I was like, girl, like how would you know unless she's already hidden away somewhere in that big hotel, like doing her little quarantine, because it seems like that was what happened with Devon, right? They pretended he came the next day or a couple days later, but they were all still wearing the exact same clothes. So when Jade's friend Chow was telling Brianna and Brittany that, you know, she'd love to see Devon be a father and, you know, all of that, I was like, wait a minute, who the hell are you? Like, why are you even here? Like, what do you mean you'd love to see that? You don't even know these people. Like, seriously, why is she here? The show is so odd and random and kind of aimless in some respects. So that's why it's hard to connect to the show, you know, like, I was really taken aback by that comment. Cheyenne then talking to Dr. B about like blacking out whenever she gets furious and stuff. They do a little bit of a montage of all the times that Cheyenne has gotten like blackout like crazy. Like, you know what I mean? Like when she was screaming at Zach, like both times, and the Farrah thing, I'm like, you know, like, it's not like cute or funny the way that you're trying to make it seem. Like, it seems like a real genuine problem, and you as a mother of two should get a handle on that at this point, because it's not healthy behavior. Like, it reminds me of Portia Williams from Real Housewives of Atlanta, who just runs around beating everybody up, you know, at her big age. Now she's like 40 something, and every time the excuse is, first of all, it's somebody else's fault, someone triggered her. Second of all, she blacked out so she doesn't remember. Like, that is a problem, you know. And I would hate to see Cheyenne end up that way, you know, 40 something running around beating people up, you know, claiming that you were blacking out. So at this point, the Teen Mom 2 girls then go boating, and the OG girls talk to Dr. B, but Farrah wasn't with the OG girls. There was no word at that point where she was. And Amber, you know, says that probation has kept her from getting violent and crazy. And it's like, okay, well, it's good that she's on probation then, like, you know, and her probation, I believe, is 5 years. So we got a couple more years of calm Amber, and that's a good thing. Hopefully it'll be like, you know, like a lifelong habit after these 5 years. So now on the boat, Brianna from the Teen Mom 2 girls opens up about her therapy session with Devon and everything, and then the boys go wakeboarding together, and I'm glad that Devon got the opportunity to talk to Corey and Zach about co-parenting. I think that it helps to see other black fathers, other young black fathers who are also like cool, you know what I mean? It's like, you want to see people that kind of like represent the way you see yourself. Things kind of just like hit a little bit harder that way. So I thought that that was something that he needed, and I was glad that he got that in that moment. Ashley feels like she's more friends with Bar than like husband and wife, because he's not romantic or driven or anything like that. But it's like, sis, he was neither of those things when you were dating, and you still married him. So I don't understand what you thought would change when you ultimately signed on the dotted line. In fact, I feel like people have less incentive to change once, you know, they officially trap you in marriage, right? Because it's expensive and it's a long process to get out of that. So you got to make sure you're marrying the person that you want to be with, not, you know, thinking that they're going to change suddenly. So I do have to say that Farrah, demonic Farrah's look when she met with Coach B was actually quite nice. She definitely stepped up her game from the first night when she looked really weird, and kind of like a old lady-ish. So listen, her calling the consequences to her actions, which is nobody liking her, you know, everybody having a bone to pick with her, she called it all very triggering. I was like, girl, stop. You brought everything on yourself. She claims that she doesn't want to be around toxicity, but again, she's the one who ran around attacking literally everybody in Teen Mom, OG, Teen Mom 2, Young and Pregnant, you name it, she's dissing them. Mind you, earlier she was like saging the room and stuff. It's like, girl, you are the bad energy. It's always the bad energy people who are saging spaces, right? So then, of course, she plays dumb with Dr. B, claiming that she used ghetto as a verb for isolation. You know, she's like, Corey was being ghetto for isolating me, like in the crowd and confronting me about like me dissing him. It's like, and then Dr. B has to entertain it and act like she doesn't know that Farrah was being racist. Again, it takes me back to that Toni Morrison quote. You know, I'm just going to read a bit of it, but she says, listen, the very serious function of racism is distraction. It keeps you from doing your work. It keeps you explaining over and over your reason for being, you know, like, oh my God, like, you have to constantly like explain things and go back and forth. It reminded me of when Mackenzie pretended she didn't know it was racist to say colored women or this or that. Like, it's just constant. And then you always, you know, black people, instead of just getting to enjoy their life and their day, they have to go back and explain to someone who's playing dumb, you know, what the most basic thing in the world is. And I hate it. I hate seeing it constantly on my TV screen. I find that triggering, actually, you know, if Farrah wants to talk about triggering. Then she goes, oh, maybe I should have used the word creep instead. But Farrah, that's not what creep means either. You know, what you want to find as a word is, why are you holding me accountable? Why are you not letting shit slide? You know, that's what she wants to say at the end of the day. So she then cries in disappointment of herself for not being able to manage it all. She says that she's usually superwoman. Okay, girl, on what planet, you know? And then, you know, I don't even know what she's talking about at this point. She's just talking, right, to get the heat off of the stuff that she said. So she admits that her life sucks and she doesn't feel happy right now, which is not surprising. I don't, you know, it doesn't look like a happy life, right? Like her out there selling poop in jars for sexual deviance on the internet and stuff, and just getting kicked out of restaurants, you know, fighting with security guards, just fighting with everybody. Like the fact that nobody likes her except like a couple of like really strange people online, you know, like, it's sad. It really is sad. And I'm happy to see her admit it. And I'm looking forward to seeing where that goes moving forward. Anyway, you guys, that does it. A recap of what happened on last week's episode of Teen Mom Family Reunion. If you want to watch the full episode or any other like MTV shows or whatever online, make sure to get yourself a VPN. I've got an affiliate link to the one I use in the description box down below. So that's all for now. Let me know what you think about the episode in the comment section down below. And as usual, we'll chat. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.